Look at you. We need to take the selfie of the century, you guys. We need to...
Okay, this is your one and only warning before I start this video. If you are a Christian, this video will upset you. I'm just letting you know right now, so let's get into this. Alright, in this video, we're going to talk about how Kamala Harris aligns herself with a group known as the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. This is a group that is probably the most anti-Catholic, anti-Christian group in the entire United States. They utilize the cross as a pole dancing item. They desecrate holy things amongst the Catholic Church and Christians. But again, in this video, really all Christians, Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, you are going to get offended, and I'm going to present the facts and evidence to you that Kamala Harris keeps saying she's a Christian, she goes to all these churches, but when you align yourself with this group, I don't think that's the case. Now again, I'm going to have a very hard time even trying to explain or show you visuals about this group. This is about as far as I can get. Again, they utilize the cross as a mocking tool. They use it as a pole dancing item. They use it for a lot of other nasty things that, again, you can go look it up because I can't even talk about it. They make fun of the Holy Virgin Mary. They make fun of anything that has to do with Christianity. And the thing that's disgusting is that how could anyone who claims to have been a Christian even take a selfie with them or even promote these ideologies?
Welcome to Kamala Harris!
Okay, so before we get to Kamala Harris claiming to be a Christian and she's all about faith and working together and this and that, you can actually meet who these nuns are and you can read their names. I have to be very careful once again of what I show and what I say, but like for example, Sister Morticia Morningwood. That's one of the nuns. Oh, really? And you're all about, you know, being a Christian and Catholic and this and that? Seriously, scroll down through all of these and you can even go to the how to become a nun. And you know, what they do is very sneaky. They say, oh, we're all about organizing together to donate to charities. We're all about helping the needy. Go through their screenshots and tell me how pole dancing on a cross is anything pro-Christianity or pro-Catholic or pro not being offensive to the church.
So we grew up a little neighborhood church in Oakland, 23rd Avenue Church of God, and I was raised to believe in a loving God, to believe that your faith is a verb, you know?
For a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem...
And by the way, as you scroll through this entire website, not once do they talk about a statement of faith, not once do they talk about Jesus, not once do they talk about anything that has to do with Christianity or anything of that sort. Again, as Kamala says, you work out your faith. Your faith is an action. And what these guys doing, they're doing many actions according to what they believe, which is desecrating Christianity as a whole. Now, I have no affiliation to CatholicVote, and again, if you're a Protestant or Orthodox, I think everyone is very united on this front, that you should never use the cross as any sort of dancing pole or making fun of the Virgin Mary, but this organization seems to be on the forefront or the push to get this out to the public of what Kamala Harris is really all about. Now, that viral picture that's sort of going around has been blasted out by CatholicVote. This was done a while ago at the Dodgers Pride Night. This is not a recent thing, so I'm just going to put that disclaimer out there. But the point I am trying to make is that the CatholicVote president has been very transparent that they are dumping a lot of money so that Catholics in particular know what exactly Kamala Harris is all about and what she supports. So when Catholics see Kamala Harris go into churches and in their mind they're like, well, she is a Christian and, you know, I don't really agree with Trump, but since Kamala does go to church, I can vote for her. No, I think what CatholicVote is trying to prove to you is that in good faith and good conscience, you cannot vote for somebody who is all smiley with a group who desecrates the cross.
I'm 79 years old, and I expect to have a woman, African American, Indian woman, President of the United States.
I just support Kamala Harris. I love the housing, voting, the cost, different things. She's just, you know, for the youth and for the people. I just encourage everyone to go out there and vote.
I'm 81 years old, and I love Kamala Harris. I love the way she's doing and what she's going to do for the country.
Now, the sad part is the damage has already been done. These are members of the congregation at the Church of Christian Compassion in Philly. This is where Kamala Harris spoke. And obviously, you're going to get a little emotionally riled up. You're going to get some good clips like we saw here of African-American voters voting for Kamala. Again, appealing to the color of a skin, appealing to a demographic of Kamala being Indian, when you know as Christians this is simply not the case, that we are all on a united front as far as our faith and the church. But what we are not united on is the fact of appealing to certain demographics in order to pander to votes. And again, the reason why I'm playing this clips, or I'm trying to explain this to you, is that do you really think these voters, if they saw that Kamala Harris was aligning themselves with that group, do you really think they would have sat there and voted for Kamala in good faith? I don't think so.
I think it was on Easter Sunday, there was a display where they have Jesus on the cross, so the most sacred moment in history for Catholics. And a drag queen comes in and kind of pulls Jesus off the cross, then does a sort of pole dance on the cross. For Catholics, it's hard to imagine anything more offensive than that. Suppose this group had dressed up in a kind of simulacrum of a rabbi and had done something deeply disrespectful to the Torah, or take it a step further, had dressed up in a mockery of a Muslim cleric or imam, and then had desecrated the Quran. What would the reaction be? Those questions answer themselves. But
Okay, so this is Bishop Robert Barron, who's explaining what happened at the Dodgers Pride event. Now, the thing that I want to make a correction on is this. I understand that within American Christianity, and really all Christianity, you have a major split amongst Catholics, amongst Protestants, and amongst the Orthodox. This has always been the largest issue within Christendom. But there is still a united front when it comes to the cross. When it comes to the cross, regardless what shape it is, and whether or not your cross has a footstool for Christ, like the Orthodox and the Eastern Catholic traditions, what you need to understand is that this is not only an anti-Catholic hate group. This is an anti-Protestant, anti-Catholic, anti-Eastern Catholic, anti-Coptic, anti-Orthodox, Eastern, everything. This is everything that has to do with Jesus Christ and the members of Christendom, the saints of the world. This is the problem, people. And again, I understand that the Catholic Church is on a united front as far as like media teams and a universal church within the United States where you have the physical locations and it's easier to get media across. But again, the reason why I'm making this video and I'm trying to appeal to everyone is that this is offensive to everyone and Kamala Harris supports this. Okay, so what I really want to point out is I think Kamala Harris is not really appealing to a lot of Christians, but this is a very, very important key detail. You'll notice in this election how there's way more of an appeal or way more of a push towards Catholics. And there's a very big reason for that. First off, the Catholic vote, it is a larger percentage amongst the Christian denominations, but also the Catholic vote is pretty split. A lot of Catholics tend to vote more left-leaning, more democratic, and more liberal. When it comes to the evangelical vote, Protestants, they tend to vote a little more conservative or right-leaning to include the Orthodox vote. I'm never going to forget about the Orthodox brothers. Now, what's important to understand is this. When it comes to Catholic theology, you have some ideologies in there that can kind of get you in the weeds and get you a little lost, unfortunately. And actually, not unfortunately, I think this is a good thing. For example, in Catholicism, you can believe, if you want, in evolution. You can believe that. But when you start to get into evolution, as you know, sometimes you can get into Darwinism and get a little more left-leaning ideologies and get into those circles that are like, why would you believe in this and why would you believe in that, where you can press on someone's faith. Again, I am sort of making my own assertion here. I don't have the data and facts to back this up. But my point is, since the Catholic faith is so large within the United States and so vast, and you have metropolitan Catholics, you have farmer Catholics, you have businessmen Catholics, you know what I'm saying? You can get a lot of different ideologies within the faith, and that is why the Catholic vote has always sort of been split and why Catholics seem to always get taken advantage of in every election. But this time around, it looks like the Catholics are on a more united front because you can see a clear distinction amongst the two politicians. When it comes to Kamala Harris, I mean, she's literally hanging out and taking selfies and promoting a brand that desecrates the cross. When you go over on the Trump side of things, although many Christians will agree, Donald Trump claims to be a Christian, but he's also done some questionable things. Without a doubt, his cabinet and party members represent Christian values and ideologies way more than Kamala's side. But the point of this video is to show you, again, we have a clear black and white distinction of what Kamala is all about. She appeals to Christianity, appeals to the Word of God, the Bible, but as she says, she acts out her faith. This is how she acts it out, and I think it needs to be called out in love and with care. She is one of our leaders. We should pray for her, but she's also extremely heretical, and we need to call that out as well.